Hey folks, before we begin today's show, I want to thank our awesome sponsors. The first is Idle Academy. Idle is the first and only authorized vocational school for instructional design and online learning. It includes a comprehensive hands-on curriculum with certifications, credentials, expert coaches, mentors, a community of practice, paid experience opportunities, industry-preferred software access, live events, and ongoing updates. Your entire instructional design career is neatly packaged behind a single login. Check out all the details at www.idlecourses.com/academy, and you can use my code Luke for $88 off the yearly membership. And folks, one more announcement. The next cohort, the 6th cohort of Instructional Design Institute, is going to be kicking off again on Monday, October 28th. If you have not heard about this yet before, this is our program to cover the fundamentals of instructional design. We cover different types of topics such as andragogy, analysis, backward design, universal design for learning, generative AI, have to cover that nowadays, as well as evaluation methods and creating different types of portfolios. We go through things every single week with live sessions. You'll be getting my feedback every single week on your assignments with lots of hands-on activities where you are going to be learning about essentially everything when it comes to being able to design a type of a meaningful, relevant, and interesting form of learning experience. If this is something that you want to be able to take part in for joining other different types of learning nerds such as yourself, well then, hey, you should apply to the next cohort. Go down below inside of the show notes. Can't wait to see you there. Okay, let's bring on the introduction music and let's start the show. Hello, learning nerds, and welcome on in to the nerdiest podcast you're going to hear today. My name is Dr. Luke Hobson, and I am your host of this show. I'm an assistant director of instructional design. I'm also a blogger, a podcaster, an instructor, and the creator of Instructional Design Institute. And my purpose is to be able to help you out along your instructional design journey, from trying to be able to learn about how to craft meaningful, relevant, and interesting types of learning experiences, and of course, talking about the career field of instructional design as well. And of course, you can find all the resources that I have for you over at drlukehobson.com. Today's podcast episode is about how to recover when your beloved project becomes a dumpster fire. So let's say you're kicking off a new project. Everything on paper makes this project seem exciting. You have the right people in the room, a strong support system, a healthy budget, and an appropriate timeline. And then one thing goes wrong, and another, and another. And eventually, your beloved new project has become the bane of your existence. Every time you talk to your colleagues, they ask, how is that project going? You pour another pot of coffee and scream into the void because this is now your life. And if you're in this mess, what do? Well, hey, I've been here many times, and I have made every mistake you can possibly think of. So today, let me share with you what I found that was effective, and hopefully we can put out this dumpster fire project of yours. So what do you do first? The first step is to prioritize the critical issues. After taking some deep breaths, you should prioritize these types of critical issues. There most likely is a significant challenge or two that you should be dealing with immediately. While you want to fix everything at once, and I understand, you simply can't. That is the real world. You need to determine the most pressing issues, prioritize them based on their impact, and focus on resolving the most critical ones first. So how do you do this? One trick I found with dealing with so many issues all at once is to write them all down on a whiteboard or to write them down on sticky notes. All of the information right now, it's inside of your head, and that's not really helping us. We need to be able to actually get this out and then get it down on paper or somewhere for you to visually see these things. Then afterwards, you can rank them on what to deal with first. And once you have identified this, then be sure and give it everything you got to fix the first type of a critical issue. The next step is to communicate with stakeholders and team members. I cannot stress this point enough, and that whatever you think you are doing for communicating, you can always do more. A personal issue of mine is that I have had a really hard time of the perception of over communication. I perceive that I communicate too much and that my messages can be seen as an annoyance. So I try to be respectful of people's times because time is really the only thing that we can't get back. And if I'm asking for someone's time, there better be a darn good reason behind it. However, one project taught me that this isn't always the case. From my perspective, if I'm not sending you an update, that means that there is no update to share. That's kind of how I think. I'm not going to clog your inbox with a useless email just basically saying, hey, there's no update, because that drives me insane, and I'm not going to do that to other people. From the stakeholders' perspectives, though, no email from me meant that I wasn't doing my job. So what ended up happening is that on this project, these stakeholders reached out to my director and asking why I haven't been communicating with them. And then she filtered this back to me. And after hearing this, I was like, oh, okay, well, I will kind of try this out. And instead, I'm going to over communicate. I'm going to send these people a weekly update. And this quickly changed the tide, and I heard from several of the stakeholders about how much they appreciated these weekly updates. And yes, sometimes there was simply no update, and I was just letting them know that there was indeed no update or progress to the project. And some of the stakeholders even began to offer their guidance and trying to be able to help me remove some of the blockers that I was mentioning about. And this made me realize that more is better, and I'd rather communicate too much than too little. And the more transparent that I was with them, the better that things went. I would also say to make sure that you are proactively communicating with your team members, not just the SMEs and the other stakeholders. I am guilty, and my team will 100% tell you this, that I am totally guilty of not asking for help soon enough. I will try to put everything on my shoulders, and then once things get truly bad, then I have to ask for help kind of because I'm backed into a corner. Now, obviously, I shouldn't wait. That's a flaw of mine, and the more I discuss this with them about what's going on, the more that they're willing to help me and to be able to try to help me get back my time. By doing this and trying to practice doing this more, I have seen that they have given me some fantastic ideas that I would have never come up with before on my own, and it's just because I'm sharing that I'm realizing there are better ways of doing this. Now, potentially, this could also save you several headaches if you share the progress out with your team. And as a reminder for me, and as a reminder maybe for you, asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. From here, now it's time to create a new plan. Think about the new deadlines and adjust those timelines and expectations. I would also be thinking about the major milestones, and once you've accomplished these, it will continue to build the momentum for the project. For yourself, don't forget about the small wins. I'm going to assume that this project has taken a massive amount of your mental energy, and I know you still want to be able to get everything done as quickly as possible, but be sure to embrace those moments and those small wins because that is going to boost your motivation to really get the job done. My director had to remind me of this recently with a project that I had that truly was just a insane project, but I'll share more about later on. It was a doozy of a project. And what we do is that we do check-ins and we do them on a bi-weekly basis. And when I updated her with how much was completed since the last check-in, she was shocked. And it took an outside perspective for me to realize that she was right. Because to me, I was just like, oh, it's another small thing. And then I have to go and do this other task. I have to follow up with this, whatever. And then she's like, well, wait a second. Like, that's so much more than what you told me about last time. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm rushing. I'm rushing to get to that next milestone because I still feel like I need to get everything done. And instead, I really should reflect upon the wins to say that, wow, 6 months ago, this was impossible to do. And I just did something that I never thought we were going to get to this point. And now we're here. So if you're in the same position, make sure you celebrate those small wins. From here, and this is another reminder, is to stay calm and focused. For this dumpster fire to turn around, you need to keep a clear head. After months and months of frustration, it's easy to carry over these feelings and into your new plan. you need to treat this revised plan as a fresh start. You are wiping the slate clean. Here is your new start. For instance, if something does happen to go wrong, and let's say it is a minor inconvenience, someone asks you to reschedule a meeting, but this person was notorious for constantly rescheduling meetings on you. So now what happens is that your months of baggage have hurt you, and you're like, oh God, here we go again. I can't do this. When in reality, maybe it really is just a minor rescheduling issue and you can resolve this quickly and schedule it for the following day. And now all of a sudden, everything is all set. Anything that you can do to take a few minutes for trying to be able to solve a critical stage 3 meltdown really isn't a meltdown then. So you need to remind yourself that to stay calm, to stay focused, and everything at the end of the day, my friends, it is figure-outable, if that's a phrase. I'm going to put that in the article as well, but you can figure anything out. All things are certainly possible when working on instructional design projects. And last but not least is to reflect, to learn, and to grow. After this calamity is passed, conduct a debrief with either your team, the stakeholders, or even yourself, however you can do this, and talk about what went well and what could have been avoided and how to improve for the next time around. Chances are you may end up working with the same stakeholders again, and if that's the case, they will look to you for improvements. I have done this with my SMEs. It is a practice that I have been doing since actually one of the SMEs I worked with years ago recommended that we conduct a retrospective and we talk as a team about how things went. And of course, they're an engineer. That's what engineers do. And I was like, that actually makes a lot of sense because in some cases, it feels a bit uncomfortable to share about how the project did not go well because, of course, if that is your fault and doing, you have to take ownership of saying that, yeah, I missed the mark here. And that can feel a little bit weird in those types of conversations. But when you can actually get to be able to talk about them and then to hear more as well from the SMEs and the stakeholders' perspectives, that really does give you amazing insight into what to do for the next time around. And this all then goes into helping you to build out risk management strategies for future projects. So the next time that you are in a project and you're realizing things are taking a turn, they're not going well, you're going to remember these steps and you're going to be more prepared to be able to handle them. And you and I both know that while we hope that every project is perfect and everything is going to go well, that is just not the case. Inevitably, there's going to be another truly insane project that you're going to work on, and you're going to have to figure it out. So let's prepare, let's get ahead of this now, and then that way, you're going to be ready for whatever comes next. And those are my best tips for you. Is there anything else that you would add to the list of tips? Is there one tip in particular that really speaks to you? If yes, I would love to be able to hear from you. Go into LinkedIn, be sure to comment away, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say. A reminder, if you want to learn about instructional design with me and amazing other learning nerds, the next cohort for our course from the Instructional Design Fundamentals course over at Instructional Design Institute is launching on Monday, October 28th. If you want to be able to go through 7 weeks of learning nerdom with everything that's involved inside of creating meaningful, relevant, and interesting types of learning experiences, this is for you. Be sure, once again, go down inside of the show notes, apply today, and you'll be hearing from me, and we can go from there. And that, my friends, that is everything that I have for you today. Stay nerdy out there, and I'll talk to you next time.